What's up? This is Trey T, and in this video, I will be reviewing Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. Just giving a heads up, if you have not seen the movie, this review does contain spoilers. So be advised, this video does contain spoilers if you have not seen Black Panther Wakanda Forever yet. Although Shuri is a bit of a skeptic, the movie basically starts off with Shuri praying to the Panther goddess Bast because her brother, King T'Challa, is dying from an illness and she is trying to find a cure. So she uses his DNA and she's trying to find a cure to save his life. She's trying to recreate the heart-shaped herb that was used in the first Black Panther that N'Jadaka destroyed when he became Black Panther, because you know that would regenerate them and make them stronger again. So remember, in the first Black Panther, the lady told him we need it for future kings, and he said, "I'm the king. There's no other future kings," and he told them to burn it. So she's basically trying to recreate that so she can give it to her brother to save his life. While Shuri is running tests, Queen Mother comes and tells her that her brother is with the ancestors, that he has died. So then they have a funeral for King T'Challa, which is basically like they're saying a goodbye to Chadwick Boseman. Basically, it's a funeral for King T'Challa, but it's also basically a tribute to Chadwick Boseman also. So then the movie starts, and Marvel, just like they did with Stan Lee when he passed away, they basically, you know how in the beginning when they do the comic books and they're spelling out Marvel, in this one, all the videos and pictures of Chadwick Boseman as a tribute to him after he passed away. Queen Mother goes to a meeting with the United Nations where they're basically, because if you remember at the end of the last Black Panther, King T'Challa basically told the world about Wakanda and its vibranium. So basically in this meeting, the people are like, when is Wakanda going to share its resources of vibranium with the rest of the world? And Queen Mother is like, we know what y'all whisper. We know that y'all feel like now that the king is dead, that y'all can attack us and steal our vibranium, that y'all sent some, not terrorists, but some, a mission of people to try to come and steal our vibranium, and that the Wakandans protected themselves and basically caught the attackers, and they brought them to the United Nations and told them basically, even though we don't have a king right now, Wakanda will still protect itself. The United States then sends an excavation team to the Atlantic Ocean with a device that detects vibranium. And when they go down deep sea diving, they find vibranium, but then they're attacked by some blue people. And they think it's the Wakandans. And they fight back, but they end up losing. It's actually Namor and his people. And Namor destroys the helicopter, and his people basically use like this siren type call to hypnotize the people aboard the ship and make them just jump in the ocean and basically not kill themselves, but make them jump in the ocean where they can end up killing them. After this occurs, Queen Mother and Shuri are by themselves in Wakanda, and Queen Mother is trying to tell her it's okay to grieve for your brother and to burn the robes of your brother and all that. And while this is going on, Namor sneaks from under the water and arrives in Wakanda, And Queen Mother and Shuri are like, what are you doing here? Who are you? And Namor tells them that his mother told him stories about a place like this where people who don't have to hide and reveal themselves to the rest of the world. Then he goes on to tell Queen Mother that it was her son who brought the vibranium to the attention of the world, and that his people have had vibranium for centuries. And she tries to tell him only Wakanda has vibranium, and Shuri tells her mother it's wrapped all around him. So he tries to convince them to help his city and his people protect themselves from the world trying to steal the vibranium, being that it was her son that basically brought vibranium to the world's attention to where they're attacking them and trying to find it. So he says, okay, I'm going to give you a week to decide. And when you make your decision whether you go help us or not, blow into this shell and put it in the ocean or something. It was something like either put it in the ocean or blow into it. I think it was, he said, put it in the ocean. But he basically gave them a decision, either help us or you will be our enemies. Because he tells them that America has developed a device that helps to detect vibranium, and that he wants them to bring him the scientists who created the device. So that's why he either help us or you go to war with us. So Shuri then gets in contact with Agent Ross, who, if you remember from the first one, he kind of helped them in the first Black Panther. And him and Shuri and Okoye, they ask him who created the vibranium seeking device. And he didn't want to tell him at first, but then Shuri was like, you owe me your life, I'll save your life or whatever. So then Everett Ross tells them that an MIT student named Riri Williams is the one who created the device. So then they decide to go to MIT to locate Riri Williams and try to convince and ask her about the device. And she said that her college professor dared her to make it. She didn't want to make it. They never said who the professor was, but basically it was some kind of government thing. They tricked her into making it to basically flush out the Wakandans, and find the vibranium and all that. So basically Shuri and Okoye try to convince Riri Williams to come back to Wakanda with them. And she's like, I'm not going anywhere. And then they pull out a spear and Okoye threatens her and all that. So then they go back to Riri Williams' lab, where the CIA actually tracks them. So the CIA surrounds them and tells them to come out, or they got a couple of seconds before they burst in. So Riri Williams pulls out an Iron Man type suit that she built. And then the CIA breaches the lab. And then they get scared. They're like, oh man, she got an Iron Man suit. and then like they get scared. And then she flies out of there. Okoye gets in the car. And I can't remember what Shuri did, what Shuri was in. I think Shuri was on a motorcycle. So then they're trying to get away from the CIA. Then all of a sudden they get to this bridge, and then they're attacked by by Namor's people. So then Okoye and one of the big dudes that work for that's part of Namor's army, him and her fight. He beats her, and then they're surrounded because it's only really Riri Williams, Okoye, and Shuri, and a whole bunch of Namor's army. And Shuri tells them, we surrender, take us to Namor. So they basically take Shuri and Riri Williams, because remember, they're looking for the person who created the vibranium seeking device. So they take both of them, and Okoye goes back to Wakanda. So now Queen Mother is upset because now she feels like she's lost all her family now because she didn't even really want Shuri to go on that mission with Okoye anyway. So she's so mad that she strips Okoye of her title as General of the Dora Milaje. So now she's trying to find Shuri. So she asked Nakia for help, who's been living in Haiti this whole time, ever since like T'Challa has passed away. Ever since what happened with Thanos, basically, that's where Nakia has been living in Haiti. So Queen Mother goes to seek out her for help. During this time, the CIA investigates the scene where the Wakandans were fighting Namor's army, and they find the beads, and Everett Ross picks them up. And Queen Mother uses the beads to contact him and ask him, do he know where Shuri is and all that? And he tells her he don't know. And this is where the part of the movie where Shuri goes to Talokan and Namor basically tells her the history of his people and how they became the way they are. He tells them that it was a sickness going around, and I think it was something fell from the sky or something, and they used it. It was some material. They used it and they ground it up. And a man had went down. He swam down and he got it from the bottom of the ocean, and they ground it up and they told the people to drink it. And then once all the people like took it, like his mother was pregnant with him at the time, and like the people were sick, and they told him to take the herb. And once they did, everybody basically died, but they didn't stay dead for long. All of a sudden they all woke up, but then they turned blue, and they couldn't breathe the air anymore. So they all flee to the ocean, and that's where they lived ever since then. And Namor's mom gave birth to him while she was in the ocean. So he still had when he was born, he had the ability to breathe air and swim under the water. So he was basically a mutant. Namor was basically a mutant when he was born. And he was born with wings on his feet. And he was born with like pointy ears. He had wings on his feet. He could fly. So that herb gave his people superhuman strength. That's why they were so easy to beat the Wakandans when they fought them. So then, like later on, when Namor got older, his mother, she passed away. But he wanted to bury her on her land where she was basically grew up. So then he went back to bury her, and that's when he saw like people mistreating other people, making slaves out of them and stuff like that. And that's when he decided he was going to use his gifts to fight back and basically protect people. So he started flying, and then he attacked the people that were hurting the other people. And then he basically became the leader. And that's when he told Shuri, only the most broken people can become great leaders. That is when he told Shuri, the people that attacked him, one of them called him Niño Sin Amor. And he took that as Namor. So that's why he says his enemies call him Namor, but his people call him Kukulkan. While Shuri and Riri Williams are in Talokan, Namor goes back to Wakanda to speak with Queen Mother and proposes an alliance and threatens war if Queen Mother doesn't agree to help him. And she's asking him, is Shuri all right? Is she alive and all that? And he's telling her she's just fine. But if you don't help us, then I'm going to come back with my army and we basically going to go to war. So then while he's talking to her, Nakia is able to locate this woman in like Mexico, and she basically tells her where to find like Telecon. So Nakia is able to save Shuri and Riri Williams, but in the process, Talokan citizen is injured, and Shuri is trying to save her life, saying, I can save her, I can save her, give me the bees, give me the bees, I can save her. But Nakia is telling her, hey, we gotta go, we hurry up, we gotta leave before someone comes. So they basically leave her there to die. So they leave, and then that's when Namor comes back. And she tells, like, right before she's about to die, he asks, he like, well, who did this to you? What happened? Who did this? And he tells her it was the Wakandans who did it. So now Namor is angry. He wants vengeance. So then Namor basically calls all his people together, and he basically vows vengeance, rages a war against Wakanda, that we go into war with Wakanda basically now. So while this is going on, Shuri, Nakia, Riri Williams, they escape, and they get back with Queen Mother, and she's happy to see Shuri again. And they all go back to Wakanda. They don't know that Namor is getting his army ready to come to Wakanda to attack them, though. So Namor and his army invade Wakanda. And they start fighting the Wakandans. They catch them by surprise, and they start fighting them. And Baku, he comes in, he tries to protect and save people. He's fighting the Talokans. And then he tries to attack Namor by hitting him in the back of the head, and Namor blocks it and then just punches M'Baku with all, like, he just punched him and he shattered his armor, just showing how strong that Namor really is. So then the Wakandans try to use, like, the ships, the aircrafts and stuff, and Namor, you know, he can fly. So he just using, like, super speed and to just, like, destroy the aircrafts, and it's easy for him. So then Namor locates Queen Mother. He sees Queen Mother and Riri Williams in the throne room, and Namor throws some water bombs and throw it through the window and break the glass, and it's filled with water now. So in the process, now Queen Mother and Riri Williams are underwater. So Queen Mother tries to save Riri Williams. But during the process of saving her, when they get them both out of the water, they're not breathing. And Riri Williams comes too. But Queen Mother doesn't come back, doesn't wake up. So she ends up drowning trying to save Riri Williams. So then Namor tells them, I'll be back in a week with the rest of my army. Have your funeral and all that. I'll be back in a week, and you will basically help me fight against the Americans or whoever, like the people who trying to steal the vibranium. But so now Queen Mother is dead. So then they have the funeral for Queen Mother, and at the same time, the head of the CIA arrest Everett Ross, because that's his ex-wife. She planted the beads at the crime scene when the Wakandas were fighting the Namor's army, and she bugged them. So that's how she knew that Everett Ross had been working to help the Wakandans this whole time. So she asked him, what did they tell you and all that, and he didn't want to tell her. So she had him arrested. Shuri uses some of the herb that gave Namor's people their powers to try to recreate the heart-shaped herb that N'Djaka had destroyed in the first movie, that Killmonger had burned in the first movie. So she uses it like she was trying to use it at the beginning of the movie to recreate the heart-shaped herb. She's using like a 3D printer. And she tells Nakia asks her, how do you know if it works? And then she tells her it'll begin to glow if it's successful. So then it starts glowing, and they're like really happy that they were able to recreate it. So then they give her the herb, and with the help of the herb, she gains super strength, and it allows her to go to the ancestral plane. And in the ancestral plane, even though, remember, Shuri is really a skeptic, but now that she's in the ancestral plane, she thinks she's going to be able to either see like her father or her mother or King T'Challa, but that's not who she sees. Instead, she actually sees N'Jadaka, which is basically Killmonger. She runs into Killmonger and talks to him. And he tells her, you don't even believe in the astral plane. That's not, you asked for me. You don't even believe in the ancestral plane. And she said, I would never ask for you. And he was telling her that she's consumed with vengeance in order to basically compound on that. She needs to be more like him and less like T'Challa and her father, because they didn't take advantage. They didn't know what to do. That she needs to get revenge and fight for her people. That's what she needs to do. So then she wakes up, and Nakia and Riri ask her, who did she see? And she said it didn't work. She didn't see anybody because she didn't want them to know that she actually talk to Killmonger and not Queen Mother or King T'Challa. So then Shuri puts on her own Black Panther suit, and she wants vengeance against Namor for basically killing her mother. So she and the Wakandans, they get together. M'Baka is telling people about Namor and how his people call him Kukulkan, the feather serpent god, and how they need to, it's gonna be hard to defeat him, and they all come up with a plan basically. And Riri Williams builds a new suit, and they come up with a plan to trap Namor and his army. So basically they set up a trap. Shuri built a whole new suit for Okoye to wear, called that suit, and another suit called like the Midnight Angels or something like that. But they basically trying to set up Namor and his army because Namor's army is too big and they all got superhuman strength. The only one that really got superhuman strength for the Wakandans is Shuri, because she took the herb. The rest of them just good fighters. They don't have super strength like Namor's people, because all of Namor's people took the herb basically. That's why they blew and they could breathe on the water and stuff. So basically during the fight between Shuri and Namor, they set it up to where Shuri can trap Namor in an aircraft, because they figure out that it's a difference between Namor and his people. His people have on like these little like oxygen type masks. Namor doesn't have an oxygen mask on. Namor can breathe air. They can't breathe air. Namor can breathe air, and he gets stronger whenever he's in the water. So they decide to use that to their advantage. So they trap Namor. They try to keep him out of the water. So they trap him in an aircraft where it has no water, and it's like heating lights on to basically dry out his skin. Because they don't want him in the water, because then he'll just get stronger and regenerate. So they trap him in the aircraft to dry out his skin with the heating lights on him and to weaken him. And he like started getting like dizzy and stuff. But then he uses his spear to try to break loose. So then I don't know why she was just standing there letting him break the thing without trying to fight him, but somehow that's what she was doing. Like when he was weak, that's when she should have been fighting him. She should have tried to take the spear away from him, but she wasn't. So then he was able to break through the ship, and the ship crash landed on like the beach, and that's when him and Shuri started fighting. And then Namor ended up stabbing Shuri After Shuri had ripped one of his wings off of his feet, Namor stabbed Shuri, and then he tries to like walk away and go back to the ocean to be able to regenerate. But Shuri takes the spear out of, like, she breaks it in half, and then she pulls it out of her. And then she sets like a trap to where she can burn Namor off an explosion. And before she sets off the explosion, she crosses her arms and says, "Wakanda forever." And then she sets off the explosion, and the explosion burns Namor's back, and he falls on the ground. So while he's on the ground, Shuri flips him over, and she picks up the spear, and she's contemplating about killing him. And while she's contemplating, she sees visions of Queen Mother saying, "Show them who you are." And she decides not to kill him, even though Killmonger was like, "Hey, get your revenge. You need to be more like me." But she decides not to kill Namor. And she tells Namor that Wakanda will protect his oceans, and his oceans will protect your oceans. Like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to protect your oceans. Because right during that time, Shuri tells Namor basically the same thing T'Challa told Zemo in Captain America Civil War, when Captain America and Iron Man were in the building fighting. He said, "Vengeance is consuming them. I'm done letting it consume me." So she tells Namor, "Vengeance has consumed our people. We should not let it consume us anymore." So basically she tells him, okay, let's work together. That way, you know what I'm saying, we don't have any more problems. So at that point in time, the Talokan army is basically outnumbering the Wakandans. Why Riri Williams sitting there with an Iron Man suit on and not shooting them, I don't know. But that's what it was. And then they all look up and they see Namor and Shuri flying up overhead. And Namor tells his people, let's have peace and all that. And that's basically how it ends. How that fight ends. So then later on, when they're back in Talokan, Namor's cousin, Namora, asked him, she like disappointed that he didn't finish the job, that he didn't kill Black Panther. And he tells her basically, with Wakanda as our allies, it'll be easier for us now to conquer the surface world. So that's how it ends with Namor and his people. That's how it basically ends. So then for Wakanda, Shuri goes to like Haiti to visit Nakia, and she burns like her mother's ancestral robes and stuff, something that she didn't want to do with her brother robes. So she burns the robes, and then Nakia comes out, and she got a little boy with her. And Shuri was like, "Who is this?" And Nakia tells her that her and T'Challa actually had a son. Before he passed, they had a son that they didn't want to be raised around like the whole royal family palace type life. And he talked to her, and he told her her name. He told her his name is Tucson, but his Wakandan name is T'Challa. So basically, early in the movie, when Queen Mother said she lost all her family, she didn't say like all her family was gone. She just said they were lost, because she already knew she had a grandson out there. So overall, I like the plot of basically Namor blaming King T'Challa for notifying the world of vibranium, and him telling, okay, Wakanda, y'all need to help us because it's basically your king's fault. So I like that. I felt like it could have had way more action in it. Like, I saw Black Adam. I felt like Black Adam had a lot of action in it, but I didn't like the plot, and I didn't like the antagonist in Black Adam. And in this movie, the protagonist, Shuri, really don't really become a protagonist until like the very end of the movie. So it's really like no clear leader in the movie for like the good people, the good guys. So that's why I got the protagonist as a 6 out of 10. Action, I got a 6.5 out of 10. Plot, 8.7 out of 10. Namor, love Namor in the movie, so I give it a 9.5 out of 10. And the climax at the end where they devised how to beat Namor, it's kind of like, if anyone who ever seen like what was that, Injustice for DC, when Batman versus Superman, basically it was the animated one, when Batman had trapped Superman in like a room full of red lights, which is like to imitate like the red sun to weaken Superman. That's basically kind of like they did with Namor in this movie. And then like the final fight between Namor and Shuri, I enjoyed that. So I gave that a 9.2 out of 10. So my overall rating, I really wanted it to be like a 8.4 or something like that. But based off that, when I totaled it up, it turned out to a 7.98. So I'm going to go ahead and round that up to an 8. So for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, my final rating is an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the movie. But you check the movie out for yourself if you haven't already watched it. Me personally, I actually enjoyed this one better than the first one. I feel like the first one was really only good mainly because of Killmonger. And Chadwick Boseman had some scenes, but I feel like Killmonger stole the movie in the first one. But you check the movie out for yourself. Let me know what you think in the comment sections. Subscribe to the channel. Like and comment. More videos coming soon. Trey T out. Peace.